Hello everyone. This is my well, it's about two and a half, maybe 2.5 months into it. And we're having some problems here the last couple weeks. Not really problems, but just new tank getting established. These things are popping up. What to cause them? And maybe that'll help some of you guys out there that are starting new shrimp tanks and you're going through the growing pains of a new shrimp tank. So when I set this up, I did what I call a quick cycle, which means you add a bunch of mulch and muck from an old existing tank and you put it in a new tank. What that does is it makes it cycled or good enough that you can keep critters in there without too much ammonia, without ammonia problems, as long as you feed lightly and are very careful at first. Now we're past that point. I started feeding a little bit more, and now we've got algae. And algae is just a growing pain of new tanks getting established. So what we're going to do, first thing we're going to do is we're going to scrape this glass. Look at all this moss. I'm going to explain what happened to our beautiful moss carpet, and we're going to fix that. We're going to get this algae cleaned up. There's some string hair algae stuff growing on the... All in all, I mean, the main thing I'm trying to do here is breed shrimp, and the shrimp look wonderful. They're doing awesome. They're repopulating. And so the first thing I'm going to try to use is a super cheap little scraper set I got off Wish years and years ago, magnet. Let's see if this... A lot of times this stuff won't do the trick unless it's really soft. This is more like a green spot algae. It's getting some of it. There's some of the softer stuff up here. But I think it's going to call for a razor blade, I do believe. Spot algae pop up. It seems like it pops up in tanks that get a little more light than the others. A lot of times your nitrates will end up being in the 20s, at least 20s or 30s. Because I've been dosing ferts in this tank, trying to help along. And all in all, everything is going good. So the main thing we're trying to do is breed shrimp, and that was a huge success. But algae happens, and while these tanks get established, and it's really nothing to be concerned about. In fact, many people go to great lengths to get algae in their shrimp tanks. So what we're going to do here is we're going to scrape the front glass, but we're going to leave algae on the other sides of the glass, because believe it or not, man, I know most of you guys that know about shrimp know shrimp like it, but some of you guys may not know that. Shrimp like to nitpick at stuff and always have a available food source. So we can actually see what's going on here now. Check it out. All right, now we can see what we're doing. So as you can see, this moss looks really good. In fact, there are bubbles in it, and it looks like purling, and this moss has legitimately purled. However, this is not legitimate purling, but it looks just like it, and it's the same kind of bubbles. The thing is, when my moss gets little bits of algae in it, and you can see, let's see if we can find. So, yeah, there's a few little strings of algae right there in the moss. And when I start seeing that, I hit the moss with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. So you see all those little air bubbles. Here's the algae I was talking about. It's dead now. It's all faded out. I just run my finger through there. Yeah, that was a piece of moss. Come on with it. Just kind of. There's really not that much in there. I wish I hadn't put that much peroxide on there. Not enough to hurt the shrimp, clearly. Enough to mess up my moss carpet. So look at this. Look at all that. Look at this. Look at all those air bubbles. And the air, as I shake the air bubbles out, the moss is returning to its normal, correct position. Now it won't be fully mounted like we want it to be. Have to groom it up. We can push some, like you can push. So we come through here. Push. And this stuff is so thick. Oh my gosh. See, we're still getting air bubbles, especially here in the middle. So what I do, I take the peroxide, put it in a syringe, and push it in into the moss. Well, it made too many bubbles in the moss this time. Back corner still is trying to float up. So it's kind of going to be a little wonky looking. And it's always going to want to keep trying to float up. It's just the reality of these moss carpets like this. But I think it looks pretty good. Algae issues up here by the sponge. Always do up there when you start getting close to the light. This, I just kind of spin it around, wrap it around your finger. And you can tell this algae, see how it's all faded and kind of green looking? That means it's been hit with peroxide. We got some stray moss up here. So when I hit it with peroxide, it's more like a Band-Aid because it's probably better off for the tank to just let the algae grow in the long term. But I've got a lot of moss in here, and I'm trying to make the tank look good for you guys. And then it gives me an opportunity to show you guys how to deal with algae. And so we went from a great big algae mess, moss uprooted, moss mat, half floating. Last night it was floating at the very top of the tank. And then we got this side cleaned up a little bit. Look at these shrimp. There's a lot of really, really good ones. But like always, there's always bad ones to call. The main job of a shrimp breeder is to take out the bad ones and find something to do with them. So you can see we got a fair share, a few bad ones in there. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to slowly pick them out as I see them. And it'll make it easier to get them all gathered up here, and we'll see what we're dealing with here in a few hours. It'll be pretty fun. And here we are after a quick cull. We got a lot of really good shrimp in here. Not too many bad ones. These are the ones we pulled out, mostly lighter shrimp and splotchy shrimp and like realies. There's some carbon realies that these guys have been popping up. So they're kind of neat, but they're culls. We pulled a fairly decent amount of shrimp out of there, but not too many considering how many were in there. So these guys are going to go live in the Skittles tank. Check out the Skittles tank. There's still a bunch of them gathered up from this morning from when I caught some out to fill orders on my website, markshellyaquatics.com. And let's let these Skittles, let's let these Blue Dream culls go in the Skittles tank. Alright, look at all them blue guys in there. Alright, let's get back to the tank we've been working on. So really, I'm pretty happy with this tank. I'd say all is going along good. It looked like a complete disaster, but I ended up fixing the moss, scraping the front glass in a matter of like 15 minutes. So not a huge deal. I spent most of the time culling the shrimp. We pulled out quite a few, as you guys just saw. But the ones left are pretty awesome, I do say. This corner over here still needs some attention, but it's good enough for now. And eventually, I may end up doing something about this window here. I may put a black cover on the window to block out the sun, or put something behind this vinyl that's letting some of the light through and causing algae problems. I hope to get this LiQWYD here growing nice and big and bushy and taking advantage of the direct sunlight that shines through them blinds there, but I think it's getting so much light it's not wanting to grow up, it's wanting to grow out. So we've got, look at how thick, it's sending out a whole bunch of new stems, but it's all down in there buried in the moss. So that might take some messing around with to get the way we want, but all in all, there really isn't much to complain about. Look how thick and luscious moss is. That's beautiful. Beautiful. And you remember at the beginning, we just went through and pushed it back into the substrate a little bit. It's always going to be an ongoing battle with that, but it's really not that big of a deal. You saw how easy it was for me to fix. I am pretty happy with this tank. And another thing I want to talk about, it's really important to get your shrimp culled when they're getting to the verge. There's getting to be a lot of them, but they haven't completely exploded yet for this big of a tank. And you want to make sure before your populations really boom, you want to hit them hard with the cull. Cull them hard, because these are the ones that are going to be making a whole bunch, and this will be the baseline genetics for this colony going forward. And so we want to get it the best that we can before we start making thousands. So now when we just got 300 or 400 in here, or however many there is, it's a lot easier to deal with that than trying to pull out hundreds out of thousands. It's better just pull out 50 out of hundreds. So there we go. Maybe you guys could use some information in here. Maybe just entertainment, seeing a bunch of cool shrimp and plants. But anyway, thanks for watching. No matter what you watch. Bye.